This is our hero, Meow the cat. He's an astronaut cat who travels all over the galaxy. One morning, Meow was getting ready for his daily spacewalk, when suddenly he looked up to the sky and gasped. Every morning when the sun rises, a beautiful comet would light up the sky. But this morning, the sky was dark. Where was the comet? Meow put on his spacesuit and helmet, grabbed his jetpack, and started to look for the missing comet. "Where are you?" he called out into the vast darkness of space. Suddenly, he saw something sparkly in the distance. Could that be the comet? As he got closer, he heard a familiar sound, the sound of the comet's tail hitting a star. Meow hid behind a big rock and peeked around it, and there was the comet playing hide-and-seek. He was so happy to see it, but then he heard the comet say, "Ready or not, here I come." So Meow quickly hid again. The comet zipped past where he was hiding and then, wham! It hit another star and exploded into a million sparkles. Meow laughed and said, "You can't hide from me." And then he zoomed away to find the comet again. The comet was having so much fun playing hide-and-seek, but he kept slipping and falling. Thud, he would hit a star and explode into a million sparkles. Thud, he would fall on a planet and bounce off of it. Then he'd zoom through a ring of stars, leaving a sparkly trail behind him. As he was running away from Meow, he saw a ladder made out of stars. He slid down it and bounced on a moon trampoline. But just as he landed, Meow zipped right by and nudged him with his spaceship. The comet zoomed away again, but he was getting tired from all that running. Then he saw a shooting star and he slid down its long tail. But Meow was right behind him, and he slid down the shooting star's tail, too. At the bottom, there were a bunch of asteroids. Meow bounced from one to the other, and the comet bounced along, and then wham! The comet bumped into an asteroid and exploded into a million sparkles. And when the sparkles settled, he was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Meow looked around and saw a small hole in the asteroid. He squeezed through it and found himself inside the comet. It was like a giant cave with a round room at the end. In the middle of the room was a big ball of string. And when Meow looked closer, he saw the comet playing with a little mouse. "What are you doing here?" Meow asked. The comet stopped playing and said, "I was looking for you." "Why?" asked Meow. The comet was silent for a moment. "Well," he finally said, "it's not very fun to play hide-and-seek by myself." He looked down at his feet. "So I was hoping you could play with me." Meow smiled and said, "Of course I'll play with you." He played with the comet until it was time for their spaceships to leave. "Bye, Meow," said the comet. "Bye," said Meow. And then he and the comet raced away in their spaceships. All around them, stars twinkled and planets glistened. The two spaceships zipped and zoomed through the rings of stars. They flew past shooting stars and meteor showers. They bounced on moon trampolines and slid down shooting star tails. They climbed up star ladders and swung from planet to planet. As they were flying, the comet suddenly turned his ship toward a big, bright star. "Do you want to see something really cool?" he asked. Meow nodded, and the comet took him to the star's north pole. All around them were shooting stars. "Watch," said the comet. He flew in a circle around the star, and all the shooting stars followed him. They swirled and twirled around him, making a beautiful shooting star tornado. When the comet slowed down, the shooting stars slowed down, too. The comet turned to Meow and winked. "Cool, huh?" he said. Meow had never seen anything like it. "It's beautiful," he said. The comet smiled and asked, "Want to see it again?" And then they spun and danced in the shooting star tornado together. After a while, they came out of the shooting star tornado. "That was amazing," said Meow. "Let's do it again sometime," said the comet. "Okay," said Meow. Then the comet looked up and gasped. A big planet was getting closer and closer. "Look," he said to Meow. As they got closer, they saw that the planet was made out of cheese. On the surface were little houses made out of crackers and roofs made out of lettuce. "Wow," said Meow. "Can we go down and explore?" asked the comet. "Sure," said Meow. They landed their spaceships on the cheese planet and started to explore. They walked through fields of macaroni and cheese and swam in lakes of milk. They climbed up mountains of cheddar cheese and went down water slides made out of Swiss cheese. They bounced on blue cheese trampolines and slid down cantaloupe slides. As they were walking, they heard a funny sound. Gulp, gulp, gulp. They looked around and saw a huge mouse eating a piece of cheese. The mouse was so big that he was as tall as a house. "Hello," said the comet. The mouse jumped and squeaked. "Don't be scared," said Meow. "We're just exploring." The mouse looked at them for a moment. Exploring, he said. Then he went back to eating his cheese. Meow and the Comet looked at each other and started laughing. They had so much fun on the cheese planet that they didn't want to leave. But the Comet had to get home before his mom noticed he was gone. He and Meow waved goodbye to the giant mouse and got into their spaceships. As they were flying away, the Comet looked back at the cheese planet. "Can we come back here again?" he asked. Meow nodded. "Of course," he said. "We can explore all the planets in the galaxy." The Comet smiled. "That sounds fun," he said. And then they raced away into the stars, happy to be friends forever.